How to sew a light, breezy cardigan layer from the Billie jacket that is perfect for spring and summer. This can be a cover-up, a light layer to wear to the farmer's market, or if made from a darker color, it can totally be worn as a top if you add buttons. I chose this white cotton gauze and I used 1.5 yards to make the mid-length jacket from the Billie pattern. I'm making some changes to the pattern to make this a more simple sew. If you've wanted to make the Billie jacket and are a beginner, this tutorial is for you. The changes we are making are removing the side slits, changing the facing, and adding elastic to the wrists. I like how these changes make the Billie jacket more simplified, which is perfect for a light, layered cardigan. Full original tutorial for the Billie jacket is linked here, and today we're just going to focus on the changes we made to the original pattern and how to make this light, breezy cardigan layer. First, you're going to cut out your pattern, and to do this, I traced my pattern onto separate paper to preserve the pattern itself. I traced my size out of the mid-length pattern and cut it out of this white tracing paper. To change this pattern, we're going to take the front and back bodice and we're going to fold in the side slits on the pattern. This is so we cut it a little bit different and remove these side slits. Now fold your fabric and line up your back bodice piece on the fold. You're going to cut this on the fold as opposed to cutting two pieces as the original pattern calls for. Pin this in place and cut out the pattern. You're going to do the same thing for the rest of the pattern pieces. And when you get to the front bodice, we're going to make one major change. You want to have a measuring tape and we're going to measure 2 inches, which is the width of the original facing. We're going to take a water-soluble marker and mark 2 inches away from the bodice all the way down the curved side. And it's going to give this more relaxed feel and it will be easier to sew later on. Cut out your front bodice and make sure you're cutting along the line that you just drew. You're going to do the same thing by adding 2 inches to the back yoke of the jacket. Now cut out the rest of your pattern pieces, and when you get to the facing, you only need to cut 2 of the facing instead of 4. Now that you have all of your pattern pieces cut out, you can put them aside and grab your pockets. Fold the pockets on the long angle side 1/2 inch and then once more towards the wrong side of the fabric. And you're going to continue and fold the rest of the sides at 1/2 inch. Now sew across the angled side at 1/2 inch. Find the placement of the pockets and sew it to the front of your jacket pieces. Now grab your back piece and you're going to do a gather stitch at the top of this piece all the way across. I like to do 2 rows of gather stitches, making sure that my stitch length is 5 or more, and just quickly going across the top. Then you're going to grab the bobbin threads and pull the gathers tightly, but not too tight. We don't need too many gathers for this piece. Now grab your yoke piece. After you have pulled your gathers to the width of the yoke piece, you're going to pin it in place and sew at 1/2 inch. I finished this off by serging it, and then I ironed the seam towards the back and sewed at about 1/8 inch across the back, and this just gives it a nice finish. Next, attach the front pieces to the shoulders of the back and pin in place. You're going to sew at 1/2 inch and serge these pieces to finish it off. You can also finish these pieces with 1/8 inch stitch on the top, and this will give it a nice finished feel. Now lay out your entire jacket right side facing up and attach your sleeves to where the notches are. Sew at 1/2 inch slowly. I like to make sure the sleeve is face down on the machine to give it an easier sew. Now you can press this seam after you've serged it and do a top stitch to finish it off. Now grab your two facings and line up the hook ends of it and sew at 1/2 inch. Now you're going to find the middle of the back and start pinning your facing to the jacket. Sew at 1/4 inch all the way around the facing with the right sides together. After you have sewn your facing, go to the curved parts. So this is at the neckline and this is around the sides. You're just going to snip some of the fabric right here to make sure that when you turn it towards the inside of the jacket, it'll go along these curves very nicely. Fold the jacket right sides together, matching up the arms, the armpit, and the side seams, making sure the notches are lining up, and sew at 1/2 inch. And finish off with a serge on the side seams. Press the stitched edge of your facing towards the facing itself. You can also fold this once more towards the inside to enclose the serged edge. Now with the right side of the facing towards the right side of the jacket, stitch 1 inch across the facing and cut at an angle to make sure when you turn this facing towards the inside that it'll create this sharp edge. Turn the facing towards the inside and now it will create this line that you can press the inside hem along. Fold the hem at 1 inch and then fold this under to create a clean edge for the inside hem. Then you're going to stitch on top of this at 1/8 inch to make sure it's a really clean top stitch. Sew along the facing at 1/8 inch. And then you're going to sew the facing once more at 1 inch to finish it off. For the wrists and the elastic, you're going to serge the opening of the arm, and then whatever elastic you choose, you need to measure it around your upper arm, and I like to do that so it gives me a little bit more room. And then measure your elastic, cut 2 pieces, and fold the arm at 1/4 inch. Sew along the edge, leaving an opening to put your elastic in. Using a safety pin, you can thread your elastic through this casing, and when you get to the end, you can sew the elastic together and close up the seam.